The Alchemy Custom Prime Carry. What do I think about it? Hey folks, it's good to see you again. I know I hadn't made a video in a while, but my work schedule's changed and I hadn't really had time to do a lot of videos. So I got a new gun in last week, I think it was, something like that, maybe the week before. And I've taken it out and shot it already. I don't have any footage of shooting it, but it is the Alchemy Custom. It's the commander size. I think it's the prime carry. I believe that's what they call it. I'm not sure. I don't really get off on the names of these guns, but I believe it's the prime carry, or maybe it's the prime custom carry. It's one of the two. But anyway, it's chambered in 9mm. Let's get down here and take a close-up look at it. This is the Alchemy Custom commander size, chambered in 9mm. Now, a lot of y'all might not have heard of Alchemy Custom, and I'll go into that here in a little bit. But this is a true commander size 1911 chambered in 9mm. If you'll look, the left side of the gun is totally blank, and the right side of the gun, if you can get it in there, has the Alchemy Custom script on it and the logo right there at the back. This gun, as for pretty much all of the guns that the CEO, the former owner, now CEO of Alchemy Customs, his philosophy from what he said is he likes to keep these guns classic, and I agree with him. I love a classic 1911. Even though it's classic, it has a lot of modern features on it. Let's look at the finish. The finish on this gun is blued. The camera's not doing it justice, but the blued finish on this gun is fantastic. It's one of the best blued finishes I've ever seen. That's including the old Colts. Now, even the tops, the matte rounds up here, the mattes on all the round surfaces, it's got a different texture to it. And I think he actually makes one gun, the Quantico, that is all matte finished, and I wouldn't mind having this gun in all of that matte finish. It's not like your typical mattes on your other 1911s. It's a different texture and a different look. It's actually really nice. The fit and finish on this gun is amazing. Now, before I go any farther, I changed the thumb safety for my EGW thumb safety. I changed out the grips for these VZs. These are old VZs, probably 14 years old maybe. And I changed the trigger to a short trigger. Other than that, this gun is as it came from Alchemy Custom. If you'll notice, it's got the ball cuts here on the front. Each one of those ball cuts is done once the slide is fit to the frame. That way they can match up just perfectly with that dust cover. These guns are hard fit, just like a Les Baer. The barrel is hard fit. With a Les Baer, his slides and frames are hard fit too. These are nice and snug, no movement at all, but the barrel is hard fit just like a Les Baer. What that does is provide exceptional accuracy and actually long barrel life. This gun is what you would call an heirloom quality gun. It really is. This is one that when I retire, this will be my retirement gun. This is a gun that I will carry all day, every day. And I will go back to a 1911 when I retire, and this will be the one that I carry. So let's zoom up here and let's talk about this gun and give you a little history of the company, talk about price, and then talk about value. All right, let's talk about, first off, let's get the elephant out of the room right here, right off the bat. This is the price of the gun. The gun cost $3,400. They're not cheap. The guns are not cheap, but like I said, this is literally an heirloom quality gun. It's one that you can hand down to your kids and they can hand down to their kids It's an amazing gun. It is truly a work of art. And let's put this into perspective. If you were to buy a Wilson Combat that was at this level of quality, you're not buying one of their CQBs or protectors, you're buying one of their super grade guns. And their super grade guns are going to run you, I believe they start somewhere around 5, and then the sky's the limit from there. Nighthawk, if you were to buy a Nighthawk on par with this one, you're going to be bare minimum $5,000, and then it's going to go up from there. So as far as value goes on a hand-built 1911, this is actually a pretty good value, even at $3,400. Now, like I said, $3,400 is a lot. $3,400 is a lot of money, and I'm not making excuses for it. I had to sell some guns, I had to save up for a while, and trust me, on a cop salary, I know $3,500 is not cheap. But if you save up a little bit here and there, you sell off a couple of guns, you can probably afford one of these. The function of the gun. Like I said, these guns are hard fit, similar to a Les Bear. The function of this gun, I ran about 150 rounds through it, was 100% reliable. It was 100%. I didn't notice any failures of any kind. Even locking the slide locking back on the last round, it was 100% reliable. This gun is very smooth when it cycles. When you chamber a round into the chamber from a loaded magazine, you can't even feel the round chamber. It is that smooth. I mean, this thing, you just have to feel it to know what I'm talking about. There are other guns out there similar to this, but I'm gonna say this gun right here is the absolute nicest gun I've ever owned. I've owned Wilsons, Nighthawks, Ed Browns, Les Bears. You can throw STI in there, but I don't consider STI a truly handmade gun, but a lot of people do. This is 100% the nicest 1911 I have ever owned. And yes, it is chambered in 9mm. I like 9mm, and a lot of people think that's sacrilegious, but the fact of the matter is, I like 9mm. So let's look up close at this gun and see some of the subtleties of it. Now, if you'll look behind the trigger guard here, there is no A1 scallop behind the trigger guard. It's just like a standard 1911. Now, if you'll look at this one, you can see the A1 scallop. The owner of, well, former owner, now CEO of Alchemy Customs, likes this type of frame. And I have to say, it's a very handsome frame. I like it. Also, the ball cuts. Like I said, each ball cut is cut specifically to each gun once the slide's been fit to the frame. So there is a perfect matchup between that ball cut and the dust cover. The undercut on the gun. I don't know if you're going to be able to really see it. There you go. It's a real high undercut, and it feels good in the hand. Now, with my hand size, I can only get up so high on the gun, so I don't know how much benefit I'm getting out of it, but it really feels good. The checkering on the gun. I don't know if you can see the checkering on it. Now, if you'll notice, the checkering in the front and along to the sides is a standard checkering. If you move over to the edge, they're just horizontal grooves. This is called his, or he calls it his comfort carry checkering. And it's pretty nice. Also in the back, you get the same type checkering. Now, I've heard somebody say it was hand checkering. I don't know if it's fully hand checkered because you've got this border along the bottom here. I don't know how they would be able to checker that without checkering that part too, and the same around the back. I suspect, and if somebody knows better than me, let me know, but I suspect that it started with a machine and then they come along with their files and sharpen up the edges with their files after it's been cut with a machine. Now, like I said, I could be wrong about that. But if there's somebody out there that knows, please chime in. But I suspect that it's been cut with a machine and then it's finished by hand. Either way, it really bites into the hand. It's very non-aggressive on the sides, but it's very aggressive in the centers, and I really like it. It's a slightly extended magazine release. The sights, now from a distance, you look at it and you don't notice, just at a glance, you don't notice that this is a modern style lead sight. Then you get up close and you can tell that it's dovetailed in here and it's almost perfectly flat with the top of the slide. It gives it a classic look. Everything about this gun is classic looking, and that's why I like these guns. They are a classic styled gun. I have respect for the new modern styled 1911s. I have a couple of 1911s with rails on them, so there's nothing wrong with that, but I really love the classic styling of the Alchemy Custom guns. Let's talk a little bit about Alchemy Custom, because some of you, actually a lot of you, probably hadn't heard Alchemy Custom. Just to give you an example, they've been in business, I don't know, maybe around 4 years, maybe a little longer. And the serial number on this gun, other than the prefix, is 822. It's the 822nd gun that Alchemy Customs has produced. Now, Alchemy Custom was it's owned by, or was owned by, a guy named Rob Shawlin. And I remember when I used to get on 1911 forums, I never really comment much. I would always just get on there and read. And he was always doing work on other people's guns. People would send him their Les Bears, their Nighthawks, their Wilsons, their Dan Wessons, Springfields, Colts, Kimbers, and he would do work on them. And I remember seeing one gun in particular that he did. I believe it was a Les Bear monolith that was just amazing. I saw that gun, and I don't drool over guns. Normally. Glocks, Colts, Kimbers, Springfields, even Les Bears, Wilson Combats. I don't drool over guns. I don't have emotional attachments to guns like some people do. That monolith he did, oh my goodness, that thing was amazing. And I have to say, this is one of the very few guns that I've ever owned that I actually really get psyched up about shooting. I really love this gun. It's super nice. But he ran that shop for years. And all of a sudden, we found out you couldn't send him anything for orders. He had pretty much shut down. He was finishing up all the orders he had, and then he was moving on. Come to find out, Cabot Guns purchased Alchemy Custom, and Rob went to work for Cabot Guns under the Alchemy Customs name as the CEO and lead gunsmith. From what I understand, there's only a couple of gunsmiths that work there, and that kind of tells you why they only turn out a handful of guns a year. I can't remember how many a year it was that they turn out, but it's a very low number. And these guns, when I say they're hand-built, they are 100% hand-built. And from another part of my understanding, Rob actually builds some of the guns coming out of there. So it's not like he's just a figurehead. He actually gets in there and works. He seems like a really cool dude. Seems like the kind of guy I could get along with. And I like his idea of where a 1911 should be. Classic, but yet with modern advances that blend in with the classic style. I like that. I like that a lot. And like I said, I have guns with light rails on them, or 1911s with light rails on them. I've got staccatos, which are modern versions of a 1911, but my heart really lies in the classic 1911s, and he builds a great one. Let's talk about value for the money. I've already touched on it a little bit. An Alchemy Custom gun chambered in 45. I think the cheapest I've seen them was somewhere around $2,900. I believe you can get this one, the base model with no extras on it, for about $2,900. when you add the 9mm, the ball cuts on the front sight, I'm not sure what else this one had as an option. I can't remember, but it drives the price on up then. I wouldn't consider Alchemy Customs a true custom shop like Cabot, because Cabot will actually let you spec every individual part of the gun, where Alchemy has set options for you to pick. Now, I'm sure if you called up there, they would probably be willing to do a certain amount of custom work to it, but I don't believe they would go as far as somebody like Nighthawk or Cabot. So anyway, took this gun out to the range. Like I said, ran about 150 rounds through it. As long as I did my part at 10 yards, 10 yards isn't that far, but as long as I did my part, I was shooting groups about as big around as that. So about as big around as a quarter at 10 yards, smaller than a quarter actually. They were all touching each other. Most of them were literally clover leafing in the same hole. The gun is amazingly accurate. I think he says that all of his guns coming out have a guarantee to shoot less than an inch at 25 yards. Wow. I mean, that's really good. It is really good. But like I said, he does a hard fit barrel just like Les Baer does. Now, one thing I've noticed with Les Baer guns is on the barrel lugs, the lower lugs. A lot of people get confused with the upper lugs and the lower lugs. The upper lugs fit into the slide, okay? The lower lugs sit on the slide stop. You don't want the link of the barrel to be supporting the barrel on the slide stop. You want the actual lower lugs to be sitting on the slide stop. The way Les does it, he cuts your lower lug and it has almost a 90-degree angle where the lower lug is. Over time, a stress crack can appear in that 90-degree angle, and your lower lug, your lower barrel feet, your lower lugs can break off. One thing I noticed about the Alchemy Custom is he puts a radius cut there. That way you don't create a sharp angle for a stress fracture to be created later on down the road. He also hard fits the bushing to the barrel and the bushing to the slide. So it's very hard to get their bushings off. Now, if you buy a 9mm, 9mm cannot be fit as tightly as 45s. They just can't. The reliability would not be there if they were fit that tight, because there's not enough recoil generated from a 9mm to break that gun out of battery. 45s generally from custom shops are fit tighter than 9mm. Now, I will say, as far as slide to frame fit on this gun, there is no movement at all. And if you'll listen, you can hear that barrel click out of battery every time it comes out of battery. Listen one more time. You can hear it clicking out of battery. That's a good thing, folks. That means you've got a pretty accurate gun. Now, there's some guns you'll get sort of a click when it comes out of battery, but that's not the actual barrel unlocking. That's the barrel coming down, sitting on the frame down there. But this one actually clicks when it comes out of battery, just like a Les Baer does. Let me tell you the differences between an Alchemy Custom, in my opinion, and a Les Baer. Where Les Baer stops, Alchemy Customs continues. So what I mean by that is Les sells his guns starting somewhere around $1,800, going up to around $3,000, somewhere in that price range generally. With that, you get a gun that has great materials for the most part. Yes, Les uses a cast slide stop. It's not a MEM slide stop, it's a cast slide stop. I don't like that, but in his opinion, it's just as durable as a tooled steel one. But Les invest all the money in the gun, in the fitment of the gun and the parts of the gun. The finish, the aesthetics of the gun are an afterthought. Les uses a blued finish, and it's really not that good of a blued finish. If you stare at it wrong, it'll wear. It wears very easily. It's also not a very attractive blued finish. This blued finish, on the other hand, this blued finish is immaculate. Like I said, this camera's not doing it justice, but this blued finish on this gun is just fantastic. With less guns, you look inside, you see tool marks everywhere. I don't mind that on a $2,000 hand-built gun. You look inside of this Alchemy Custom and they're almost non-existent. I would not want those tool marks visible, call me picky, on a $3,400 custom-built 1911. Rob gives you a gun similar to what Les Bear does, but he takes it to another level. And it really shows. You pick the gun up, just feeling the gun before you ever shoot it, you can tell the gun is built nicely. You take it out and shoot it. Most 1911s, they feed very violently. The round will come out of the chamber, it hits the top of the chamber, it'll come out of the magazine, hit the top of the chamber, and then the slide forces it the rest of the way in. They feed fairly violently. This gun, and you can feel that on most 1911s. You can feel, once you've shot them enough, you can feel a 1911 feed, especially when you chamber that first round. This gun is like butter. You cannot even feel it chambering that first round. I don't know how he did it, but I'm going to tell you, this gun cycles like it's on greased rails. I don't use grease on my 9mm, but it cycles literally like it's on ball bearings. You cannot feel the gun chambering around. Even when you drop it from a lockback slide with a loaded magazine, you can't feel it chamber that round. It is so slick. The shooting of the gun was great. The fit and finish of the gun is great. The materials used in the gun seem to be great. I can't say enough about this gun. I really, really like this gun. And I might be selling off a few more guns to get one just like this, but chambered in 45 ACP. So we'll have to see. I don't like selling guns unless it's for a good reason. And I'm going to tell you, this gun right here, golly, it is something else. It is something else. But anyway, I'm going to try to get it back to the range maybe next week and put a few rounds through it on camera so y'all can kind of see how it shoots and take some 50-yard shots with it on steel. That way y'all can see that the gun will actually perform as long as I do my part. But anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. If you get a chance to check out one of these Alchemy Customs, check it out. There's not many of them around. They're hard to find. You pretty much have to order them through Alchemy Custom or just look up on a dealer that happens to stock them. And even when they stock them, they don't stock but usually 2 or 3. But if you get a chance, pick one up and look at it. I think you'll be impressed. I appreciate y'all watching, and I hope y'all have a good one.